Hi guys, so in today's video I'm going to scratch build some industrial scatter terrain for your Warhammer 40k, Necromunda, Gaslands and any other kind of tabletop gaming where this might fit in. And the great thing about these builds is all it costs you is some glue and some paint. As obviously everything else, like all this stuff here, is stuff that I would normally throw away. So I've got a couple of big drawers full of odds and ends, bits of plastic, tubing, pipes, obviously these sort of like sweet containers, yeah, obviously spray bottles, you name it, I'm sort of like keeping it because you never know when you might need it. And the other great thing about these kind of builds is you never really know what it's going to look like until you've built it. So it's as much fun for me to build as it is for you to watch because, well, we won't see it in its full glory until the very end. So one thing I am still trying to do, and that is to keep my desk nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue, but I'm going to use this greaseproof paper just so I don't sort of melt or ruin or mess up my my lovely clean desk. So with these kind of builds, I try and start with the biggest pieces first, just to get like a rough sort of like shape and feel and look to the thing. And then obviously as we go on, we can start adding smaller bits of pieces. Yes, obviously this thing I could have cleaned up more, but there's no real need because obviously these kind of things I'm building are going to look a bit rusty in the end. So yes, you don't need to really spend too much time giving these a clean because obviously it just adds to the overall effect at the end. And using the glue gun, mainly because this is a lot quicker and easier than using sort of like super glue. And obviously I don't like getting the super glue on my fingers too much. So yeah, a lot of the time it is just offering things up, seeing if they fit. But obviously as this is some sort of like futuristic, well, I'm not sure what this could be. This could be like a water tower, gas tower, who knows really. Yeah, so you haven't got to be too precise with things and you really can just add things nilly-willy and make it look, well, cool, futuristic and yeah, whatever you want it to look like really. The main thing with these builds is to really just have fun with it, and say for me these kind of really remind me of my childhood watching Blue Peter when they would make things out of, again, just general things that you'd normally throw away, like Weetabix boxes, washing up bottles, using a bit of sticky back plastic. And yeah, just having fun, sticking it all together. Obviously, because you know, once it gets painted, it'll look completely different to it does now. Obviously, when you get the bits of plastic and they're all different colours and you're sticking them, sometimes you think, well, this looks a little bit weird. But yeah, get some paint on there. I mean, even when I get paint on there, it just changes it totally and transforms it into whatever you need it to really look like. So this is a bit of the old metal hose for a shower. So I'm going to have to go cutting this with my little Dremel tool. I mean, these are pretty awesome. But obviously you do need to be careful with these because obviously if it can cut through metal, it'll certainly cut through my skin. That's why I'm kind of holding the end of it in the pliers. But even then, sometimes the Dremel does sort of like try and get away from you. And as you can see, it kind of like spins around and around. But obviously being careful, perseverance, it does finally cut it. And as you can see, this shower curtain, I think I've had this, well, I don't even know where I got this from to be honest. And as you can see, it's got a lot of, I don't know, what do you call that stuff? Not rust, but I don't know. You might know. Leave it in the comments if you know what that stuff is that builds up around things from water. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so we're going to get back to this. And yeah, a couple of these pieces. Again, no idea what these would be for in this sort of build. All I know is I like the look, texture, and obviously the effect that they sort of bring to this thing. So yeah, glue them on too. And then we just continue to keep adding bits, gluing them on, moving them around, and yeah. So while we are doing that, guys, I'm going to take this moment just to let you know that I've actually started another channel. Because obviously I do spend a lot of time at my desk. And as we are now coming out of the lockdown, things are easing up, I'm going to try and get out and about a bit more. Just to spend, well, basically one day a week, I'm going to get out, visit around the UK, and see some parts of England that I've not sort of previously seen before. When I was in my mid-20s, I did quite a lot of travelling around the world and saw a lot of countries. And yeah, did a bit of travelling about 5 years, I think. But never really saw much of the country I actually live in. So yeah, so I've started another channel. There's going to be a link at the end of this. There's a link in the description. So yeah, basically if you just want to see what I do when I'm not sitting at my desk, or if you want to see what England looks like, as I will be visiting quite a lot of places over, well, the next few weeks, months, probably years. Because I started the channel and one day a week I'm basically going out and about to explore. So yeah, go check that out, guys. It's a link in the description. It is called Out and About with John, so I've kept it nice and simple and easy. And I say, yeah, if you just want to be nosy and see what I do, or if you say you want to see more bits of England, then yeah, go and click that out, guys. That'd be much appreciated. So back to the build. Obviously the great thing with doing the terrain is you need to have tubes and wires and yeah, rods and things all over the place, as they do obviously add a lot more effect and texture and yeah, basically just look good on these kind of things. So I've also still got obviously some of the Gundam sprues, and yeah, obviously most of them seem to have this nice sort of round bit in the centre, and again it's just about adding texture and some weird things on here that may well obviously serve a purpose, even if we don't know what the purpose is. But for this case I am going to use some super glue, just because obviously as it is a straight thing and I'm trying to bend it, if I use a hot glue gun I'll be holding this for well, for days probably. And there we go, that's pretty much all done, and this is what I've got so far, which I'm pretty pleased with. As I say, when it's not painted it does look really bizarre. It's just, well, you can see what it's made up of basically. So yes, this is now ready for some primer, so we'll whiz that on here. And already it looks so much better being one consistent colour. I am going to try and get some brown primer next time though, because obviously I like to sort of start these off with the rust sort of look, and then obviously build that up from there. And obviously as you can see I am still trying to keep my desk nice and clean, so I've got my little paint sort of pad thingy out, and rather than using grout this time I'm going to use the old baking soda, which I've seen a lot of people use, and I think it probably works out better because it is that bit finer. I do find sometimes using the grout it is quite thick and clumpy basically. So yeah, so using a bit of baking soda and the paint, and then we'll basically slap this on. Again, not going to be too neat with this bit because obviously this is going to be the rusty effect, so it can go on a bit sort of rough and ready. And using an old brush I'm just going to kind of like dab it on here and there. So by dabbing it obviously this will help make it sort of, some areas are going to be thick, some are going to be thin, and obviously I'm not going to completely cover it, so I'm going to keep a few little areas here and there where there'll be no sort of rust effect. But yeah, I do prefer when I'm doing the rust effect to like get the rust effect look on first, and then paint over it afterwards, and then try and reveal some of the rust. So yeah, so in this one I'm going to try something new that I've not done, but I've seen it being done for, well, since I made this channel I've been watching videos where they've used it, and that's obviously using some hairspray. Well yeah, hairspray rust effect basically. So we're going to have a go at doing that as well in this one, which will be cool. So that's the rust texture on. Now I'm just going to go over the whole thing, painting it in a brown, and then I'm going to go over it with a different kind of brown, just to sort of mix up the obviously rust effect colour. But so I think this would be a lot easier if I did do a brown sort of primer, which is what I'm probably going to do in the next one. As yeah, again I always say this every time, I do love scratch building things, but don't really do it as much as I should. I don't know why, I say it every time. So yeah, I'm going to do some more scratch building things, which again I kind of say every time, but I promise I will be this time. So yeah, so I've got like a, well, it's kind of like an orangey sort of terracotta kind of colour, and again just dabbing this all over. The paint obviously is still wet from underneath, which is cool because I can kind of mix the two colours in just so it blends in a bit more, and yeah, it just adds another little effect to the rust when it is a variety of colours and obviously not just one brown. And there we go, once that's all done it looks like this, which I think is pretty cool. I almost want to leave it like this because I just love the way the colours are blended in, and yeah, it looks like a well and truly rust buckety thing. So just before we try the hairspray rust effect thing, I'm just going to use some silver and do a bit of dry brushing just to sort of like catch all the edges, so it does look like this sort of thing is obviously, well, or was a nice shiny metal thing before being painted and before the rust sort of took in. So yeah, a bit of dry brushing, making sure there's not a lot of paint left on the brush, obviously that's why it's called dry brushing. And then yeah, just sort of flicking it over the edges, just so it does really just catch anything that's sort of protruding out. And again, yeah, I think this is such a simple little thing, but it does just now make the thing look like it's made of metal, as opposed to it being made of plastic with some baking soda and paint over the top. So yeah, nice little effect, but well worth doing. And there we go. So it's now ready at the time to do the top coat painting. And I say I'm going to use the hairspray method, which I've never used before. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about this because I kind of like the look of this as it is. But hey ho, it's always good to try new things, and if they don't work, well, sometimes you try them again and sometimes you just give up. So I went out to Poundland and bought some hairspray for, well, £1.99, go figure. And I'm using the firmer hold one just because this gives more volume to my hair, so I thought it would work well on this. Obviously not really, I've got no hair. So yeah, I took it outside, gave it a good full-on spray, let it dry for about 15-20 minutes, so it's like fully dried. And yeah, now I'm going to paint on this sort of like an army kind of green. Most of the videos I have watched show people spray painting the paint on, but unfortunately my spray painter, because it's one of these cordless ones, doesn't really have a lot of power to it. It's great for spraying onto a light colour, but trying to spray onto this rust thing, I don't think it would work. So yeah, so I'm having a go at painting on, but I've also put in some paint thinner. Well, I don't know why really, I just thought I'd give it a go. I think next time though, I'm not going to put some paint thinner in it, because obviously this has come out rather runny. Obviously not too surprising because it's got paint thinner in it, I guess. But yeah, just basically going to go over the whole thing, give it a good old coat, then let it sort of dry fully, and fingers crossed I should just be able to rub it off with a toothbrush and get some great rust effects coming through. But yeah, so while I'm putting that away to obviously dry, I'm going to make my own stencils to go over it. So yeah, recently I watched obviously Scratch Bashing's video where he had some stencils that he brought, which I probably would actually end up buying. But for the moment I'm going to make my own, just because these are nice and large, so it also makes it easy to cut them out. As I just think having these sort of stencils on whatever it is you've built just really gives it, again, a bit more realism to it being something that yeah, would have been used and obviously has some sort of number or reference on it. So yeah, pretty simple to obviously cut out, because they are quite big, these stencils. But for smaller stuff it could be a lot trickier, and yeah, would obviously work better if you bought some, which I probably will for the next videos. So once it's all cut out, I've seen the best way to apply the paint is to basically sort of dab it using a sponge, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I think the effect comes out really well because obviously it already looks like the paint is starting to sort of well, fade away, chip away, and yeah, again, it's such a simple little idea but really effective, and I think it just adds something to the piece you're making, especially obviously if what you're making is kind of industrial, army, well, even sci-fi obviously. But yes, I'm definitely going to be doing more stenciling on stuff, whether it be numbers or like the warning black and yellow sort of stripes, or well, anything else really. So I've let that all dry now. It's been dried, well, hours and hours and hours, and now I'm going to have a go at rubbing it off with my little toothbrush. But yeah, initially it just seemed like all it was doing was obviously making the paints obviously wet and runny. I mean, this may be because I put that thinner in, I'm not too sure. So my plan here now is to leave it well, overnight. So there we go, it's been left overnight, so it should really be fully dried. And rather than using the toothbrush, I'm now using obviously the other part of the sponge to rub away. And yeah, so first impression, it doesn't seem too bad, except it's also taken away the rust colour I put on, and it's gone right back to the primer, which obviously was black. Yeah, again, that's why I was saying earlier on about I'm going to get some dark brown or some brownish colour to use as a primer, just because I think that would work well here. I say obviously this effect is kind of like taking off, well, all the paint. So I'm basically going to start dabbing it, but not as much as I was, just to sort of try and release a few bits from the top. But I say it does seem to be taking off literally all the paint, which is a bit of a pain. But not to worry, I say I can go over afterwards and add some more sort of brown paint to the darker black areas, just to make it look again more like rust rather than black coming through. But yeah, so overall effect's not too bad. Again, there's a few little errors I have obviously made here. One probably being the paint thinner in the green paint, and two, obviously having a brown primer would look a lot nicer. So yes, I'm going to go over with again the sponge and do a few bits, and I've also got the Vallejo Rust Wash, which I just love using because it really just adds a great little bit of well, a rust effect to the paint basically. Obviously not cheap, so I've said it recently, I'm going to go out making my own washes soon, and yeah, I'll go using them here. So while I'm doing this, I just want to say a big thank you to all my patrons out there for helping support the channel. I say it really does mean a lot to me because it obviously enables me to buy sort of the paints, the glues, primers, and obviously anything else I need to sort of try and make things on this channel. Obviously I'm going to be doing a lot of scratch bashing soon, so that sort of reduces the cost there. But yeah, all the other little bits and pieces, say especially paint, can be quite expensive. So yeah, thanks a lot for the patrons. Obviously they get exclusive behind the scenes pictures, footage of what I'm currently working on. So if you want to become a patron, there is a link down below. Yeah, much appreciated. So that's pretty much all done now. Let's see it in its final glory. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little build. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this and what other kind of sort of terrain I guess I could make. Yeah, thumbs up if you're new here, like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And guys, my other video on my new channel is out right now, and I will be doing one every week, so it'd be great if you want to click over there, say link in the description and hopefully on this page. Yeah, give it a click, go and have a little look if you like what I do there and you want to see more of what I do when I'm not sitting at my desk. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay guys, bye for now.